savings that we're all looking for.
Sir David Nicholson's intervention has given the election campaign a sharper focus on the health service's finances and has added to the pressure on all the parties to give detail about each stage of their promises. Jane Draper, BBC News.
Well, let's look ahead to the debate then, which is taking place here at Methodist Central Hall. Labour's Caroline Flint with me and the SNP's Derek McKay. Thank you both for joining us. Let's talk initially about what's at stake. See, Mr Miliband been very clear today, critical of Mr Cameron, Mr Clegg for not taking part. He's made that point. So for you, what is at stake?
Well, for us, it's another opportunity, to be honest, for Ed Miliband to set out his vision for Britain and a choice between his plan for making sure that our economy works when working people succeed as well, but also protecting our NHS, and David Cameron, who once again is applying for the top job in the country but is refusing to turn up for a job interview, and his plan, which we know has failed, but also sent our NHS backwards. That's what's at stake tonight. That's the debate.
The message from Nicola Sturgeon will be what, Derek?
Well, it'll be a strong message of progressive opportunity. We think there's a better way for the UK and we'll express that. And of course the policy platform from the SNP that can give Labour a backbone to develop that alternative to austerity.
It's interesting to have both of you here because, of course, when we're looking at that crucial and fascinating story that's developing across Scotland, the tension between your two parties is palpable, and I was there last week and I felt it very strongly. Now, Mr Miliband was accused very directly a couple of weeks ago of giving Nicola Sturgeon a bit of an easy run. Is that going to happen tonight?
Look, our focus in all of this is about our conversation with the British people, wherever they are on our island. And that's about how we want to make sure that we have an economy that works, but also that working families benefit from that too. But I have to say, you know, the last debate I was at, Tory spin doctors were gleeful, let's say that, because actually every time they feel that the SNP are doing well, they know that means that they're closer to the keys of number 10. And do you know what, Hugh, tonight apparently, despite the Prime Minister not turning up, I understand a gaggle of Tory spin doctors are going to be in there to defend his corner. I mean, what does that say about the Prime Minister?
That's what the spin room's all about, Caroline,
well, yes,
isn't it?
but you'd at least think you'd have your person there, your candidate there to spin about. This is an absentee Prime Minister, an absentee party leader, but trying to make sure that his corner is defended by unknown people on the floor of the spin room.
When we see the polls that are at the moment, and more polls in the last couple of days, suggesting that the SNP are in a very strong position, to say the least, in Scotland, does that tally with your experience on the ground? And are you now in the position where expectations are so high that even if you make significant gains, but they're not up there towards 35 and 40, you could be seen to be disappointing people?
Well, of course, let's put it into context. We've got 6 members of Parliament right now. Our record was 11, but yes, we have momentum. And following the debates, the levels of support for the SNP and Nicola Sturgeon have gone up. The stronger our team, the better for Scotland. And no one in Scotland, or very few people in Scotland, want another Conservative government, and that's why we think on a policy by policy basis we could work with the Labour Party without a formal alliance. But the people of Scotland don't want another Tory government. They've been told in the past, vote Labour to keep the Tories out, and it doesn't happen time after time.
David Cameron and George Osborne are smiling because basically they know that the vote for the SNP ensures a decade of Tory rule.
Well, that's absolutely
that is what is at risk,
not the
and
case.
You are willing to
David
put at risk another 5 years of a Tory government.
I don't think David Cameron will be looking forward to SNP MPs opposing austerity, opposing Trident, and trying to deliver progressive policies. But what I do think,
so you admit then that he could be in number 10 if you're
the Labour
Party.
Party, all the polls suggest that the Labour Party doesn't command enough support to have a majority government, and in those circumstances I think you would find a friend in the SNP rather than an opponent where we share ideas.
We're a party of over 100 years. We don't need the SNP to be the social conscience
of the Labour Party. Well, you may well do to protect the NHS, for example.
I'm just wondering what viewers,
privatisation.
Caroline and Derek, I wonder what viewers will make of this, because of course very aware of the fact that commentators are, and lots of your colleagues are saying, if there is a hung parliament, and if Labour is in a position, let's say, to form some kind of minority government with SNP backing on crucial areas, you're not going to say no to that.
But I respect the British people more than that sort of commentary, like a dinner party conversation about how we're going to get the numbers to stack up. It's about party leaders of all the parties setting out their platform of what they would do if they were given the keys to number 10 to run this country.
And you and the SNP agree on lots of things.
And the choices, well, actually, there's a few things we do disagree on, I have to say, and one thing we don't agree on is full fiscal autonomy, which would leave a £7 billion+ us black hole in the finances for
Well, there
Scottish
wouldn't be-
people.
there wouldn't be
But
a
the
black hole.
choices
You've just,
between Ed Miliband
you've
and
just,
David
made that up.
Cameron, and this is what people should, I think, be looking in these debates about: what is the offer? Because that's the choice here, and I'm afraid votes for the SNP is more likely to give those keys to number 10 to
That's
David
patent
Cameron.
nonsense. For years, the people of Scotland were told you had to vote Labour to keep the Tories out, and time after time we ended up with a Tory government we didn't elect. So elect a strong team of SNP MPs and we'll have a strong voice here in Westminster.
That's a gamble that I just don't think is worth playing.
Okay, so in a sentence from each of you, if you were on that podium tonight, in place of your leaders, what would that message from Labour be in one sentence?
The message from Labour would be is Labour is on the side of hard-working people. Our economy can only be successful when working people are, and we'll protect the NHS.
In a sentence, Derek.
Vote for progressive change. We've got a wonderful opportunity before us.
Good to talk to you both.
Thank you.
We'll see if those messages are replicated as crisply as that this evening. Thank you both very much indeed. Thanks very much. Well, many of the commentators and political journalists watching tonight's debate will be gathered in the so-called spin room. Caroline referred to it just now here at Westminster Central Hall. And our chief political